What is good, YouTube? Katana here. Now, in my last build video, I said, Magden's like my second to last one, and when my MAGPLAR comes out, it's probably gonna be my final build video. Now, truthfully, that's probably correct. I don't know if I'm gonna release the Stam Sork, the Stam Crow, and the Mag DK. Just for the fact that, one, for example, the Stam Sork and the Stam Crow, like I said before, you really want to know the sets I typically run on that stuff? It's just Eternal Vigor, Briarheart. Typically. And then for Mag DK, truthfully, I don't know if y'all gonna like it, but normally I just run Crafty and Lich. But, it is what it is. I'm telling you some of the sets I use right now. I could make it into a video. Maybe I will later down in the patch. Maybe. I don't know. But I'm just going to tell you the sets. And when you start seeing me stream again and stuff like that, and I'm playing one of those classes anyways, you could always ask. I always say my build on stream anyways. But I've been holding off on showing all my MAGPLAR stuff. Just because honestly, it's a lot of testing. And everybody knows that MAGPLAR got some decent ass nerfs this patch. Now, when I saw some of the nerfs, I didn't care too much about it. They slowed down jabs. I didn't care too much about that. I didn't think the jab speed would be a big deal. And Purifying Light got a needed nerf. I do 100% agree with it that Purifying Light, you could just jab someone a few times with a little bit of light attack. So you hit them a little bit, and boom, it was always like a 9k purify, 10k purify. Like, I quite easily hit 12k purifying lights, and that's because I typically always land all of my combos on my MAGPLAR. But for people that don't typically play MAGPLAR and don't typically know how to really change directions on jabbing on a fly and stuff like that, and really land all those jabs and light attacks on an opponent, they were really getting away with 8k purifying lights for doing almost nothing. So I did agree with the Purifying Light nerf. But the nerf that really, I feel like, at least hit me pretty bad, which it really sucks, is the Burning Light one, because especially in open world, you're just not going to get this passive half the time. I basically have to jab 4 times fast as fuck to proc this, and not all the time. A lot of the time, you're not able to be that offensive on MAGPLAR open world. So, in my opinion, the nerfs kind of made it hard to come up with certain builds. But I have a few builds I'm going to show you guys. So this build video going to be a little bit longer, especially since it's my main. So, I got a build that works well if you're very if you've been playing PLAR for a long ass time. I got a build for that will work for you. It'll take a little bit more skill to use. I got a build that's good for all around. That's basically, I would say, the meta you could use for any situation. And then I have the build that just a straight open world build that be great for Xing. So let's get into the first build, which this one is just the good for all around. So I'm buffed. These are the stats. I am a vamp. I have been contemplating on trying out higher stage vamps, but I don't know yet. It's not really my cup of tea, but I know other people it's their cup of tea, so you can go right ahead. You could easily do it. I'm a vamp specifically for group play, the vamp OP, and also Elusive Mist is just really good on a MAGPLAR, even though I know it has its little glitchy moments where it doesn't let you go Elusive Mist for whatever reason, but it's still really good. Now, I'm using the Mage Mundus. Honestly, I've contemplated on switching it out for the spell damage one, because, again, you can get your Purifying Light. Big reason why I focused so much before on more of Max Mag in the past on my MAGPLAR builds was the fact that Purifying Light scaled off Max Mag. So, quite literally, If your build was max mag, you were shitting on most people. But, you know, I didn't get to test out the spell damage boon, but relatively they both do still the same damage anyway. So I just kept the mage one for a little bit more sustain. Have that a little bit more max mag that I could use. Now, the actual sets themselves. On consumables, we can't forget about those. I use sugar skulls. I am an Argonian, by the way. I know you guys can't see my lizard tail, but recommended races for me, I always say it's always first. The top two, they're tied in my opinion. Argonian and High Elf. Argonian is for people that I would say go Argonian if you typically just 1vx most of the time. It's really, really good for outnumbered, especially the way MAGPLAR is right now with the healing reduction and not the greatest damage. So I would just go Argonian for more survivability and better heals. But High Elf is really good in duels. So if you're just straight up looking for something just to duel with, it's good open world too, don't get me wrong. It really is. But, you know, Argonian, I feel like with any situation, you'll be straight open world. Or High Elf, it's situational. You go against people that have a whole bunch of defile shit and got cost poisons or siphoner up the ass. There's a good chance you're going to get your cheeks clapped pretty quickly. Whereas if you're an Argonian, you know, you could just roll dodge, pop a pot, you're straight. I'm using my normal stuff, you know, my tripods. Now the sets themselves, I have front bar Stoons. This is an all light armor build, by the way. And I know some people are going to be like, bruh, I don't really like using light armor in a MAGPLAR because, you know, I feel like I don't have enough tankiness. I'm going to let you know now, if you go heavy, your damage is, it's like, for example, I used heavy on quite a few class, like on my macro, for example, right? I put on heavy. I almost had no damage sets on, and I still hit people like pretty fucking decent. You can't really do that on a MAGPLAR this patch. I mean, you could attempt to, but it's gonna lack in one area or another a little bit too much. So I just decided to stay light. And anyways, I always liked light to begin with. So I got Stoons on the front bar, Nern, shock damage, lightning staff. Poisons you could put on. These are so OP, it don't matter what class you're on. I'm recommending it again. They're so OP. They're so OP. Broken, a matter of fact. Minor defile, and then it gives you a little bit of that healing. So if you go to your back bar and then pop a breath of life, boom. Most of the time it's just gonna full heal you. Ponates on the back bar. Powered and sturdy. Then we got Slime Craw as the monster. Honestly, the only reason why I have Slime Craw, which it's still great. Don't get me wrong, it's still great. But the biggest reason why I got Slime Craw is because your boy don't got no transmute crystals. And then on top of that, I honestly don't have a lot of light shoulders. So if I really, I'm going to be honest, I'd rather have Grothar as my monster set. But if you guys got, you know, the light Grothar head and the light Grothar shoulder, go ahead and run Grothar. That's an easy substitute instead of Slime Craw. But Slime Craw still also gets the job done. So, you know, you can put those on, little whoop-de-whoop. Now, the next set, Eternal Vigor. Now, everybody's going to be like, oh my god, this meta set. The thing is that, yes, indeed, it's a meta set, but it's a meta set for a reason. It's strong as fuck. It's OP as fuck. It's quite literally, I heard someone say it the other day. They told me, they're like, it's basically how the old Black Rose set from IC was back in the day, which is true. It's very similar to it, except in my opinion even still better. But all this is impen. You could have this impen if you want, just reminding you your CP will change your red tree according to mine. So this is light divines, impen, light divines. Now this is where it actually gets interesting, and I wish I could do it for all my builds, but I haven't been able to because I don't have the crystals. But honestly, I feel like this patch for MAGPLAR, this is the way to go for jewelry. And it's 1 arcane, 2 infused. Now I did 2 infused spell damage and 1 recovery. Now I specifically especially did it on this build because it's Eternal Vigor. Come on, you got, like, this is unbuffed mag recovery. I never have that much. Never ever. Most of the time, never ever. Like, so 1.5k mag recovery, that's plenty enough for me on my MAGPLAR. So, you know, I had to put the 2 spell damage on, and I've been liking it. Now, for open world, these are the open world abilities I typically use. Sometimes for group play, I switch out Purifying Light for Solar Barrage. And then sometimes I just swap between my ultimates. I still pretty undecisive with my ultimates when it comes to open world. You know, it really depends who I'm playing with and what we're doing and stuff like that. So yeah, that's the front bar. Jabs, Topple, Purifying Light, Inner Light, Degen, Crescent. Back bar is Temporal Guard. If you're on a heavy armor build, because, you know, with one of the open world builds I'm going to give, there is a heavy armor version of it. You could easily swap out Temporal Guard for, you know, a higher costing ultimate. So you don't always have to just Crescent Sweep all the time. You have something that costs a little bit more and hits harder sometimes on occasion, you know, to wipe out a group. Or if you really want to hit a group really hard, yeah, you can do that. Then we got Extended Ritual, Channeled Focus, Honor the Dead, Living Dark, Elusive Mist. Now, in a duel, I always use these skills. Degen on the back bar, LE Drain on the front. Some people will debate having, like, you know, Vampire's Bane instead of Inner Light. They almost do the same thing, except one puts a dot and the other one gives max mag. The only reason why I do Inner Light is because you don't know what the heck you're going to fight in a duel, just like how you don't know what you're going to come up with against in the open world. So it doesn't mean you're always going to hit that dot on someone. So I personally just prefer to always have the damage in my back pocket. Now I'm going to show my CP at the end, because all these builds have the same CP, even though some of them are full impen. Now the other build that you could run that I actually like, I have tested all these sets. Like, all these sets you see on here, I've been using them. There's some sets that are here that you know, I have some sets in the bank that I tested that aren't in here, but I'm gonna show you guys a few sets. Now, this is for open world, believe it or not, and it is strong as hell. Strong as hell. I don't have my other Grothar head with me, so I'm gonna just put on this one just to do it. But let me see, where is it? But typically, this is what it's gonna look like. This build. This is the open world build. You have hella sustain. Like, it's disgusting, the sustain, and your damage is 100% there. You could easily kill, you know, people in open world pretty easily with this build. Now it's overwhelming on the front bar. Potentate's back bar like usual. Grothar head and Grothar shoulder as your monster, and then you got Seducer on the body. This one's light. Now this is the one that I was talking about. Like, if you want to be heavy in it, you could easily be heavy in it and still, like, hit pretty okay. So, and you always have like a bunch of sustain, a bunch. Now, again, as you can see, my jewelry, it's not changed, and I didn't change the enchants like I did with my other one, but it's because I don't got crystals like that. So these are the stats unbuffed, and as you can see, we lost spell damage, but we got max mag. So this is the open world setup, and it's pretty good. You know, I have a little bit max health, a little bit less than usual, but honestly, easily you could just triglyph this if you're using the light armor one, and boom, you got more max health. Or you can just change out your monster set in general. I just don't have a heavy piece, so quite literally, I put on a heavy piece, I'd have more max health. I'd have a little bit more comfortable max health. Now, the last build I'm going to show is something that, you know, people that are more experienced with MAGPLAR, and if you've been playing MAGPLAR for a long time, you already know that you've been known about this build. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And I'm gonna say, if you're experiencing MAGPLAR, this is how you could literally run it exactly like this. And I know you're gonna be like, why wouldn't you use it like X, Y, and Z? I'm saying you could use it like this because this is how great it is if you're experienced enough with MAGPLAR. Like, this is how great it is. Open world, it's a little bit tougher, but this is very, very good in a duel. Now, willpower on the front bar, this is an old meta. Potentates on the back bar. I have Pirate Skeleton One Piece as a monster. Crafty on the body. Grothar shoulder for more max mag. I could have Dami House or something else. It really doesn't matter. And then Ancient Grace Jewelry. 2 recovery, 1 spell damage. Now, you could easily use this open world. And I know what you're going to say. You're going to be like, oh, why don't you just use like a 2-piece monster set? You could easily do that too. But I'm saying that if you're experienced enough on a MAGPLAR and you know what you're doing, high key, you don't even need the 2-piece monster set most of the time. 9 times out of 10. But this is the stats. And you see, again, your spell damage is a little bit lower, but look at that max mag. Now, your jabs, they're going to hit. Your Purifying Light, the tooltip went up on it. I mean, it's not going to hit like it used to last patch, but it still hits. It'll still hit. Your Crescent Sweep, it'll hit a little bit, you know? So that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're more experienced Templar, I'd 100% recommend this build. Now, if you're not a very experienced Templar, I say you could try it. 'Cause, you know, it's all up to you. You do what you want to do. But I'm going to let you know, if you try this one, there's a huge chance that you could struggle, especially on the defensive part of it. So, you know, most of my builds really revolve around like blocking at the right time. But the open world one and the Eternal Vigor one, you know, you don't have to always be blocking at the right times and stuff like that. You just already have good heals or good sustain or good tankiness or whatever. This one, it's going to take more skill because you're going to actually, you know, be defensive at the right times. Purifies at the right time. Heal at the right time. Be offensive at the right time. It's about timing. It's not so free flight kind of a thing. Now, CP, you can pause it at any time. And the big difference with my blue tree this patch is that I put more points into Blessed. I put more points into Blessed, and I know you guys are going to be like, why would you do that if, you know, the healing reduction's already been a thing for like 2 patches now, and Templar just lost damage. Now, I did this so I could try out basically full damage builds and still have pretty decent heals. And honestly, it is what it is. It's been working for me, so that's why I've been doing it. And then the red tree, I don't even change this, even though I know what I typically say is, oh, you know, I never want my crit resist over 3k. I know if I'm wearing full M-Pen that it's gonna be like 3.3 with this resistant. But again, if you want to min-max it, you could change it yourself and put more into quick recovery to have like 9% quick recovery. But it's completely up to you. Now, some tips that I could give is basically, if you're trying to play MAGPLAR this patch, or you're trying to get into it or find that great build, I'm going to let you know. MAGPLAR isn't in a bad of a state as Stamplar, but it is for sure not as great as it used to be. Now, some people are saying, oh, yeah, it's balanced. Some people are still saying, like, oh, no, it's OP. Still, the only reason why it may seem OP still, and I'm going to just debunk this right now, is because basically the only people still playing Templar are the people that are actually pretty decent at it most of the time, 9 times out of 10. Like, there's not everybody that kind of just, you know, meta hopping from class to class. Most of the people that are not playing Templar, they're on Crows or Nightblades now. Like, it's not... They're not on a Templar anymore. So, you know, Templar, it's not bad though. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I would say a MAGPLAR is still better than a MAGBLADE open world, but it has come down the tier list. And then especially in a one-on-one, it's really tough to finish off opponents, especially the fact that if you're an Argonian MAGPLAR, it's going to be real tough finishing off opponents. So I'm just going to prove to you that, you know, I am Argonian on this right here. But let me see. I'm going to show you guys real quick, at least the max this build. So resistances on the back bar, resistances on the front bar, you know, with the entropy up, 2k spell damage on the front bar. So, you know, this build is actually strong as hell. This one is strong. It's just difficult to play. The other one with Eternal Vigor and Stuns, a lot of that stuff, it's not on the actual character sheet or even sometimes on your tool tip, but when you're actually fighting, you're gonna feel it. Like yesterday, I was just, my Purifying Light's hitting like 6k or whatever, which isn't great at all, but I was running through people with my jabs. I was just completely running through them because my spell damage is still pretty decent. I'm gonna show you real quick, if you guys don't mind watching the video for this long, but let me see. I'm gonna show you real quick what the tooltip of my spell damage is buffed. And again, you could still squeeze out even more damage. Mind you, I don't use a what's it called, a Berserker enchantment, an enchantment that increases your spell damage on my weapon, on my MAGPLAR. So if you really try to squeeze out even more damage, you could easily do that. Easily. I just typically don't do it, but you could easily. Oh, let me see. Let me find something real quick. Whoop. So 2.7 spell damage, and you got 34.9 max mag. And that's not even me like really trying to squeeze out all the damage I can. And then on top of that, mind you, Slime Crawl doesn't show up on your character sheet. It doesn't show up on your, well, it does show up on your tooltips, but it doesn't show up on your character sheet. So because of that, you know, I'm trying to get that health recovery from Eternal Vigor to pop up. See, 1.8 health recovery. So if you're in a tight situation, I can't even stay that low because the NPCs or whatever, but you're in a tight situation, you're gonna get some great heals. So that is the end of this long ass build video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions, just drop a comment down below. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, like, share it up, do all that stuff, and I'll see you in the next one.